Analyze the rise of homegrown tech. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said it is time for tech solutions that are designed in India but deployed for the world. And the country is uniquely positioned to leap ahead in the information era. While the world is reeling under the impact of COVID-19 pandemic, India has seen tech investments crossing over $38 billion. And this speaks volumes about the potential of India, particularly when it comes to the technology sector. Government's policy decisions are aimed at liberalizing the tech industry. Government has also eased the compliance burden on the IT industry in various ways to engage with stakeholders in the tech industry to chart out future policy framework for India. And to discuss the way forward, I'm joined by Mr. Mayank. He's CEO and founder Ku, which is called, of course, as the Indian alternative of Twitter. Mr. Vishal, he is founder and CEO of GeoQI and Encore Gains. And Mr. R. Ramanan, Mission Director of the Atal Innovation Mission, Niti Aayog. Welcome to Rajya Sabha Television, all of you. And before we commence our discussion, important insights for our viewers. So, homegrown apps have captured 40% market share of TikTok since ban. Indian startup ecosystem witnessed launch of more than 55,000 startups, which raised over $60 billion in funding in the last 5 years and currently home to about 34 unicorns and 52 soonicorns or soon-to-be unicorns with the potential to become unicorns by the year 2022. Indian Space Research Organization and Location and Navigation Technology Solutions provider MapMy India announced an initiative to partner together to offer India's best and fully indigenous mapping portal and geospatial services. And let's get back to our guests. And Mayank, coming to you first. Ku app, an Indian alternative to Twitter. It is grabbing all the attention with many celebrities and politicians joining the platform. It rose to prominence after it stood second in Atmanirbhar Bharat app challenge that was organized by MyGov and Niti Aayog in collaboration. Tell me, how has been the traction? How are people responding to it?
Well, we've been overwhelmed with the response. There's a lot of people who've taken to the platform, and it's been faster than we had imagined it to be. We've grown between 15 to 20x on the app side. We've grown about 60x on the website. Lots of people joining the app, the celebrities, the Bollywood stars, the cricketers, the people from the government, the people from the administration, from the armed forces, actually all walks of life. So, I think they're enjoying connecting with each other in their native language and, finding a very wide variety of people across all sections on the app. And I think that's what's making it very interesting and sticky. The response has been great.
But Mayank, how do you allay the security and privacy concerns around Ku app?
Well, actually, there aren't any concerns around the Ku app. Whatever little chatter that had happened was around people being able to see their own profile details. Users are given the option to share certain profile details, and that's been made so that the other users can see those details. So I just call it the profile page. And Ku app is fairly secure. There have been various attempts for people that have tried to hack it that we are aware of, and it's been extremely difficult for them. Security is also an ongoing subject. It's a thing. It's a journey. It's not a destination. You have to keep learning about various new technologies that hackers are learning to break into your system, and you have to keep abreast with that. We take security very, very seriously. We have some of the best ethical hackers in the country working with us as we speak, and the users can rest assured that their information, their data is in as safe hands as it could have been.
All right, so Mayank there assuaging all the concerns and expanding the scope of debate. Vishal, India is a big market. We have best of the minds. But how do we invest more in R&D to actually realize the potential of India's IT prowess for Atmanirbhar Bharat?
See, I think one of the challenge which has happened in India is like, unlike, let's say, telecom, or let's take media space, or let's even take a space of mining, where there are set rules, regulations, and companies are working with the government, generating jobs here, creating intellectual property in India. What has happened in the tech space is that we have most of the foreign companies like Google, Twitter, Facebook, who are basically coming to India and mining all our data. Right now, when WhatsApp, for example, was sold for $17 billion to Facebook, they didn't have $1 in revenue. So what did Facebook value that? The value was the bulk of the data of the Indian users. So I think what has happened is, and I think the good news now is that the government has realized that the resource in the future is data. It's all about our country and how our entrepreneurs and our technology companies can create this. And the ecosystem which, again, Niti Aayog created and PM Modi created, Startup India, which happened a few years back, and continuing with them, the Atal Innovation Challenge. I think these are all the steps in the right direction. And I'm so happy to see Koo, a product coming out of that, right? Normally, they would have not got this kind of coverage because they would have just been a smaller app trying to compete with billions of dollars coming from Silicon Valley and China, which has created its own great wall to protect their own internet and create their own unicorn. So I think right now, one of the good signs is that there is a debate going on indigenous technology and prevention of data theft and unknowingly a lot of data which is going out of India.
All right, the latest development that I'd like to talk about, Mr. Ramanan, is government's big push to Digital India, deregulating the mapping policy in production and acquisition of geospatial data. What would it mean for our tech industry?
Thank you, Kriti. I think first and foremost, the government has been doing a lot to push digital transformations in India across the nation. And this has all started bearing fruit. We have talked about, we have today over 1 billion Jan Dhan accounts, bank accounts. We have over 1 billion mobile phones which are penetrated into the market. We have 1 billion Aadhaar IDs. And this combination, along with IoT technologies and other digital India technologies now sweeping the landscape and becoming available, it is creating a slew of new applications, both homegrown apps as well as other applications, which are able to tap into the system and offer products and services across the market. And from this, our satellite technologies, and ISRO has been a pioneer and a leader in satellite technologies across the world. The fact that the space tech area has also opened up, and the government has liberalized in that area and opened the space tech to private startups and private application developers, now gives a unique opportunity of leveraging mapping data, satellite imagery, and other communication technologies like 5G technologies all coming together to create very powerful apps. And it is really a great opportunity for young startup developers and app developers to see how you can leverage these for creating a slew of new applications, whether it is in agriculture, whether it is in healthcare, whether it is in transportation, whether it is in smart cities, whether it's mapping water management across the country. These are all huge opportunities. Look at the, 1 billion people with more than 4,000 small towns and cities and 650,000 villages, and only 8 tier 1 cities catering to lives and livelihoods. Now, that's a clearly unsustainable proposition. But with this coming together of mapping technologies, satellite technologies, communication, and IoT technologies, you now have an ability to zero down and focus and know that what problem exists where and how do we address that problem, whether it is in affordable housing, whether it is in a hospital which needs to be developed, or whether it is a road that has to be laid down, or whether it is a water source which needs to be corrected or purified. This is giving rise to 1,000 new applications possibilities, and that is the exciting world in which the startup developer is in.
All right, sir, those are very important points that you're making. But one of the basic issues, Mayank, is that of regulation of social media. Now, Vice President Venkaiah Naidu on several occasions has said or underscored the need of regulating social media because it is emerging as a platform for promoting hate, for promoting violence. In fact, IT Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad also said on the floor of the Rajya Sabha that IT companies can do their business, these social media companies can do their business in India, but they have to follow the rules and regulations of India. The basic concern, of course, remains about the violence or misinformation. How will you ensure that your platform is not being misused?
I think that, content moderation is a fairly deep and vague subject today. Every kind of mass media goes under some sort of regulation. But if you look at social media, which is where people are voicing their opinion, they have a certain right to the freedom of speech under Article 19 of our Constitution. But that right, there are certain legalities that supersede that right. Right? It's very important for anyone running a social media platform to comply with the laws of the land, right? Like the union minister spoke about the need for regulation, the risks that can be caused by unscrupulous elements. They can create havoc across topics, whether it's child abuse, whether it's harassment, whether it's national security. I think there's no doubt that it is very important to abide by the regulations that are set forth to regulate some of these platforms with the objective of maintaining peace and harmony, right? As a platform, we understand this responsibility. We understand that all kinds of mass media, whether it's newspapers, channels, advertising, they do go under some sort of regulation. We are also doing our bit by democratizing some of these things through community features. We have features where people can report any kind of content with the reason code why they're reporting it. People can, when the creators see that a lot of people are reporting such content, they also understand that they probably posted something that's not gone down well with the rest of the community members. It is not humanly possible to do this entire effort manually because the amount of content is in the millions,
Yes.
right? So it is very important to use machine learning. It's very important to have a good semantic understanding of certain topics and words that are associated with content that we might consider dangerous. So we've built our own proprietary technologies to address some of these things.
All right, Mr. Ramanan, how do we fix this? Bank is raising a very important issue.
I think, it's technology which is going to come to the fore in being able to resolve many of these problems. Just like technology itself creates certain problems, but at the same time, technology has the ability to solve many of these problems. And that is where you have artificial intelligence and software processing and big data analytics, all of these coming to the fore in being able to address many of these challenges, not only from a privacy security point of view, but also from a regulatory point of view. How do you ensure that you use AI, you use big data analytics, and you use cryptography and secure techniques and confidentiality to maintain the confidentiality, to maintain the security, and at the same time to make available a whole lot of services that's going to be beneficial to everybody. So I do think the COVID-19 crisis actually showed many of this Bharat App Innovation Challenge, which was launched in a series